And welcome back, everyone, for your doubleheader today. It's going to be from David C. Van Helsing, from the movie Van Helsing, or Hugh Jackman's rendition. A movie I feel it's not good, but it's very fun and B-movie-esque, and cheesy in so many ways. I really do love it. And Ruby Rose from Ruby. This is unfortunately another scenario where, unfortunately, one of these guys is just really outclassed by the other. Like in Van Helsing, we know Van Helsing is in fact apparently the Archangel Gabriel, who was it the right hand of God? He is actually, especially if you go by the game they made, he is an angel, fallen maybe, and now in human form, but he is. That being said, he's still stronger than, say, an average man. I know, not like super strength, but he's because he's in good shape. He's just athletic. He's built. He's capable. He is also skilled as hell with weapons. He's a good shot. He's got pistols. He's got his cool, I think it's a gas compressed crossbow, which is really cool. He uses silver-based weapons as well usually. And if we want to go all out on this, he can reaccess his Gabriel powers briefly in the games, and he became a werewolf in the movie. So if I want to go maxing him out as much as possible, I'd go that. The problem immediately here is that in Ruby, even like the low level, are they called hunters in Ruby? 1 second here. They're called, I can't remember what what is your profession? She's a huntress. Okay, hunter. Yeah, she's a huntress. Even low-level huntresses and hunters are a level of power that really should not be in Van Helsing world. Even Dracula, when you compare him to like what these guys are doing, including like bullet timing, massive amounts of weapons, elemental weaponry with the dusts, they're not characters that really are designed for that type of world. Ruby herself is skilled in hand-to-hand combat and weaponry with her scythe. She's the scythe's leader. She's also extreme, like skill-wise. She is dangerous with that scythe. And every weapon in Ruby doubles as a firearm. Now, in terms of what dusts she uses most often, God, that's a sentence. She can fire dust rounds. I'm just trying to see what her most common element is. Yeah, it doesn't really matter in this case. Now, dust is certainly a effective weapon to use. It's more effective on I think they're called Grims. It's more effective on Grims than regular people. But that being said, she is heavily reliant on Crescent Rose in contrast to her sister, who her hand-to-hand capabilities are rather poor, making her easy to take down. Okay, so I'm a little off on that, I admit. That's not to say she's incapable, but she relies heavily on her weapon. She can compensate with her wits and surroundings when she's unarmed, though. She is still notably defeated Neapolitan, much more skilled fighter than her using such. Now, that being said, she's also got her semblance, which is essentially a special ability everyone kind of has. Petal burst, also just known as speed, which allows her to dash with inhuman speed in whatever direction she chooses, often leaving a trail of rose petals in her wake. Basically, these can also be used kind of as distraction, illusionary purposes. Not that it's illusions per se, it's just be used for distraction. Because of that, she's just got sheer raw speed over her, and her weapon is more versatile than any one weapon he has. And the fact is, she is still moving at speeds regularly that Van Helsing is not. Not to mention, she also has Silver Eyes. Now, Silver Eyes is an ability unique to her. She comes from a line of legendary warriors. She accidentally used the powers in her grief to petrify the wyvern. However, she has no memory of it. So Silver Eyes. I'd actually like to know what Silver Eyes specifically does here. Silver Eyes Warrior. Okay, Silver Eye Legendary Warrior. Through their powers, destroys Grims and originates from the god. Okay, so the thing about Silver Eyes that I'm remembering now is that it doesn't really have an effect on normal people. It's designed on Grims and beings similar such, which Van Helsing would not qualify as. With that said, however, it's still a power she has, and maybe she can do it to kind of distract him or something like that. But yeah, she's still more than capable even without the silver eyes. Is what I'm trying to get at. I will say right up front, Ruby's one of those series. My sister loves it. I never really got into it. But I mean, I've done several verses with Ruby characters at this point. So let's see here. And if we want to go in the JLA, Justice League and Ruby crossover, which was weird. Like God, okay, it's cool to do a crossover, even shrink them, turn them back into younger individuals, the Justice League, but actually have them still be their characters. Her aura and semblance when arrived on Earth were placed instead of the power just straight teleportation. So we could even give her that if we're pushing the limits here, which would definitely put her above Van Helsing in speed. So. And just sheer speed alone, she overwhelms him, like straight out, using her hell, even her base speed, and honestly her strength are probably greater than this because she's still wielding a weapon, which was Crimson Crescent or something like that. Was it Crescent Rose? Which is still Crescent. That thing's not small. That thing is large. So she's probably, and she wields it very effectively. So she's probably overwhelming him, and it's just a straight fight if he's in human form. But let's be as fair as possible to Van Helsing as possible here. What if he's in werewolf form? Well, a werewolf's not a Grimm. Like, again, Grimm would be world. So just because he turns into a werewolf doesn't mean he's going to be affected by her abilities. As a werewolf, she's still probably the faster one, but now he's got the strength advantage, guaranteed. Because even that, he was even able to beat down Dracula, who was... Sorry, I thought I heard the phone ring. Who was still very powerful and still physically stronger than anyone else around. Not to mention, as a werewolf, he should have some level of regenerative healing factor as long as silver isn't used. Now, that being said, maybe because he's a werewolf of all things, the silver eyes might work. I mean, look, I'm stretching because the name World Silver's in the ability, but maybe. I mean, it's not impossible to think that maybe a being that is weak to silver, the silver eyes could still have the same effect they'd have on a Grimm. I'm not going to hold my breath on that, but I mean, anything's possible in theory. But if he gets in close and starts to overwhelm her, she is going to be in trouble. Using her someone she can probably still get away, but if he grabs Crescent Rose and breaks it, she's got nothing at that point. She's got nothing, because that is the one caveat to me saying she can pretty much beat him in a straight fight, is that if she gets separated from her weapon, or worse, that weapon gets destroyed, and her silver eyes doesn't work, which I wouldn't imagine it would on anything except maybe the werewolf form, then she's SOL, my friend. The best she can do is maybe try to outsmart him, and even then, he's not dumb. And he's still got his own weaponry as well. So it's just a matter of just targeting her. So, but human Van Helsing would not be able to break the weapon. Werewolf Van Helsing, if he grabs that thing and just yanks her and yoinks her, you just rip it apart. Because they even say in the movie, you'll be able to fight Dracula's hold off you to the stroke of midnight, which means he's still got some level of himself in there up until the stroke of midnight. So for the first transformation, which we'll give him as much leeway as possible to say it is. Even if it's not, I could still see the werewolf destroying the Crescent Rose. And if that's the case, and Silver Eyes doesn't petrify him, then she's screwed. However, if we're being realistic and fair, but if we're being realistic, the most realistic fight, most likely fight to happen is the human versus human fight. A werewolf fight would be a very circumstantial, very conditional fight to happen. But in the scenario where that fight did happen, I would actually be more inclined to say Werewolf Van Helsing would. And then Gabriel Van Helsing's an angel, so that's no contest. Gabriel, I mean, you know what I mean. Angel Van Helsing from the Gaines is an angel. So Yeah, I would definitely go with Ruby in this fight. As much as I love Van Helsing, I would go Ruby in this fight. But that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. See you next time.